If we think about the United Nations, a lot of people think about human rights. What I think about is the United Nations was created in San Francisco in 1945. If you think about how the world looked like in 1945, it was largely colonized, if not all. It was a small selective group of countries who created the UN, and it expanded over time, but it was never created to include the African countries or certain countries of the global south. That was not their intention. It was not their intention for the human rights treaties to include us
Addressing the challenges posed by protracted conflicts and long-standing disputes on the African continent has been a major focus for the UN. In 1960, the first peacekeeping operation in Africa was deployed in the Republic of the Congo to ensure the withdrawal of Belgian forces and to assist the government in maintaining law and order. Since then, thousands of peacekeepers have been deployed in more than 30 peacekeeping operations to African countries, including Angola, Mozambique, Somalia, Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, and Eritrea, Burundi, and Sudan. The latest peacekeeping mission was established in 2014 in the Central African Republic. At the end of World War II in 1945, nearly every country in Africa was subject to colonial rule or administration. Following the founding of the UN in 1945 and its massive decolonization effort, Africa is now virtually free from colonial rule. In 2011, South Sudan became Africa's newest country when it gained independence from the rest of Sudan.
We've heard a few times the sentence, we gained our independence, we were given independence, but actually that's not true. We were always independent. We were independent nations, we were independent people, and we regained our independence. And I think that's a crucial difference because something was taken away from us and we took back what was always ours. So I urge everyone to not talk from the perspective of, oh, we got our independence in 1965, or they gave us our independence. No, they actively came to our countries, took our independence away, they enslaved us, they colonized us, and we took it back. Regarding the topic of neocolonialism, I have a bit of an issue with the neo. Neo is Latin for new. There's, for me, nothing new about it. It's true what Mux said in the beginning. Slavery and colonialism go hand in hand. And yes, it's true, it was an economic structure to enrich oneself, but there's nothing neo about it. What happened 200-300 years ago is still happening today, right? If we think about the United Nations, a lot of people think about human rights. What I think about is the United Nations was created in San Francisco in 1945. If you think about how the world looked like in 1945, it was largely colonized, if not all. It was a small selective group of countries who created the UN, and it expanded over time, but it was never created to include the African countries or certain countries of the global south. That was not their intention. It was not their intention for the human rights treaties to include us people, right? So there is nothing neo about it. Same goes for institutions like the World Bank, IMF, even the European Union. And like you already said, they like our resources, but they don't like our people. And I think the war in Ukraine is a very good example of that, because what we saw is that when you're white, you get everything. When you're black, you don't get anything. I've been to those places. I traveled to Ukraine, to the bordering countries, to help people of African descent. And what you saw is that all of a sudden, we didn't need conferences. We didn't need so many debates. We could adopt laws within a week, not even, to grant people asylum, money, housing, schooling, you name it. But when it came to people of African descent, we took the humanity out of them. We called them third country nationals. Third country nationals. You're not a number. You're not a person. You're not someone who's traumatized, who fled away from something, right? You are a third country national. You're not number one. You are not number two. You are not number three. And that is still going. We've heard a few times the sentence,